if he does go from Manchester United, we'll be talking a lot of money. We're talking Paul Pogba, who's failed to commit to Manchester United. Simon, basically, again, we go back to our friend Ralph Rangnick. At Brentford last night, Rangnick was asked about whether or not it's a problem having players taken to the pitch despite their contracts running down, Pogba being one. Have a listen.
I also played Nemanja Matic now in the last games, and he's also his contract is also expiring. By the way, my contract as a manager is also expiring in the summer. So for us, we have the same goal. We have the same ambition to be as successful as we can possibly be in the next 3 or 4 months. So for me, it's not a question if a player has an expiring contract. The question is, how much does he still wants to be part of this group? How much does he still feel emotionally and physically on board? As long as this is the case, why shouldn't the Paul Pogba now, after 2.5 months of injury, being fully fit again now? And he also wants to show up. He wants to show the fans of Manchester United, the board, the whole world, what kind of player he can be. And even if it's for only to showing up for a new contract elsewhere, I mean, he will be highly motivated to do that. And why shouldn't I then not play him?
I like that guy. The more and more I hear him, I like him. I mean, he's absolutely right. Even if it is to impress another club, then Pogba's got to go out there and do it.
He's saying, I'll tap into a resource that's going to be useful to me, whether it be in the short term or perhaps in the long term, because he benefits himself. Look, I mean, the analogy he gave is not relevant because nobody paid Ralph Rangnick 90 million quid to join Man United, did they? They paid 90 million quid for Paul Pogba. And at this moment in time, he hasn't had a body of work which he's flattered to deceive under. And Matic has been reasonable value for money. Matic has done a reasonable job. And there hasn't been this continuing furore around his performance levels as there has been with Pogba. There also hasn't been a divisive agent in the background constantly carping on about the nature of where Pogba can go and what he can and can't do. So with all that in mind, the motivation of a player should be questioned, because if that motivation hoodwinks people into giving another contract, then he gives you another 3 years of what he's given you before, you have to manage it properly. You have to look at it and say, what am I doing here? Am I Ralph Rangnick building for the future, or am I going to do what everyone else does, which is basically deal with the here and now? And there's a reason for why he should do both. The here and now is all he's got, and the future is something he may have. So it depends how much he backs himself, because I don't think Ralph Rangnick has come here to be a consultant. No. I think that may well be where he ends up, but if he does a job, he wants the gig. Yeah. So with that in mind, it is entirely appropriate that he understands the motivations of the player that he's playing, because if he's looking at the bigger picture, which someone with his intellect should want to do, then he should want to understand what decisions he may well make, unless he's made his mind up about Pogba. Unless already he's decided what Pogba's going to happen to Pogba. So he will use Pogba in the same way that Pogba uses the club. So if Pogba turns it on to get a contract somewhere else, he's using the club. He's using the stage that he's got rather than trying to benefit the club.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
And, well, there is something wrong with it, because he should have done it 4 years ago and we wouldn't be at this stage, would we? We wouldn't be at a stage where Pogba, I think Man United don't know what to do with him. I think they've been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for a consistent run of form from Pogba that justifies a new contract. And I think every time they get anywhere near something vaguely resembling it, off he goes with another set of form that's no longer relevant to the sort of contract that he wants.
I think there will be a bunch of Manchester United fans out there, Simon, probably all over the world, who would say, because you haven't committed to United, you shouldn't be playing for us.
Yeah, but that's silly, isn't it? Because he's under contract with United. What do you do? Just give him 300 grand a week for doing nothing then? Or is that what you do? Is that the logic is, because you haven't committed, you run your contract down. It's two people that allowed this contract situation to get to where it is. The player and his agent, and put them in one bracket, and the club. Right? The club have had a gift anytime they want to sit there and go, here's a contract commensurate with what you're worth, so about 75p, because that's how you performed for the last year. But in real terms, in conjunction with what you're asking for, here's what we're offering you. But they haven't done that either.
I mean, it seems crazy United have allowed this to happen.
Well, I think that, again, I go to the point. I think that they've looked at it and they've tried to justify the commercial reality of giving him a contract in keeping with what he expects, not what he deserves, I might add, what he expects. And they can't find justification. If you think about it, his value is already gone. Right? They've bought him for 90 million quid. They've capitalised it on a balance sheet. So he's sitting on their balance sheet, but for about 2 million quid, 4 million quid, right? So if he goes for a free transfer, they don't lose anything in their profit and loss. What they do lose is some cash value that they could have got from a transfer fee. But they're prepared to forsake that in the anticipation that maybe somewhere along the line he comes good and they can offer him another year or 2 years.
You're very good at studying a landscape. Is there any way in hell that this guy, Pogba, could play himself into a new... In the time that's left,
Well,
could
I hope
play him
not.
into getting a new deal at United?
Well, I hope not. Why would 15 games justify...
He could have a storming last...
But why would 15 games justify the last 156? Right? Let's have a look at it. You know, you can't just simply say that you've had 4 years. The question wouldn't be there if the last 4 years worth of work was so compelling, the discussion wouldn't be had. So if Ralf Rangnick, who strikes me as a pragmatic, strategic thinking man, he's talking in very sensible terms, which is, I don't care about the motivation as long as I get the outcome. But the motivation is, if that then hoodwinks Man United into believing that somehow this pup that they bought for 90 million quid is subsequently going to turn into a world beater for the next contract they sign him when he hasn't for the last 4 years, then that's a danger. But I think Rangnick's a bit more sensible than that.
Jim White and Simon Jordan, Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.